Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Laura Hetzler, and I am one of the Pre-Med and Health Science Center advisors here at Wayne State University. I am going to be talking us through the pre-vet essentials. And can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Thumbs up. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to get the chat up just in case I can see it. Okay. All right. So there will be an attendance slide with a couple of reflection questions at the end of the presentation. So I do recommend that you go ahead and plan to take notes somehow. This information is meant to be a reference point for you along your journey. So taking notes can be a good way to sort of solidify this information and also identify where you might want to ask questions in the future. Once you have logged your attendance, if you are a current Wayne State student, you will start getting targeted information from our team. So anytime we hear about something that might be relevant and of interest to a pre-veterinary student, we will send that out. So a couple of reasons to stick around till the end. So the goal of this session is to answer many of the questions you may have as somebody interested in becoming a veterinarian. We're going to define what it means to be pre-vet, to use that label about yourself. We're going to explain how our office can help. We'll spend a lot of time talking about what a competitive candidate looks like, as well as when you apply. And we should have time at the end for some more questions. I do have the chat up as well. If as we're going, you've got a question about a specific slide, I will do my best to stay on top of that and answer those questions as well. All right, so let's talk about what it means to be pre-vet. In our context specifically, someone who wants to be, calls themselves pre-vet, has the goal of becoming a doctor who cares for animals and their families, as well as protecting public health in what is usually a team-based setting, okay? This is not an undergraduate degree or major. It also does not cover the sort of veterinary tech, veterinary assistant, veterinary nurse. So when we're talking about it in this space, we're specifically talking about the person who wants to be the physician. And then there's a huge variety of employment. I think most of us, those of us who are pet lovers, we think about our local veterinary office. But I think it's important to remember that zoos, commercial settings, federal settings, lots of different places employ veterinarians. Okay. Another piece I think that is important to spend a moment on is the fact that veterinarians don't just care for animals. They care for the people who care for animals. So it is important if you're going to have a successful practice to learn to have difficult conversations with human beings with the same kind of compassion that you spend on their animals. They need to develop those skills just like human doctors do. So how can we help? We are the PMHSC, the Pre-Med Health Science Center advising team, exists in one space with one set of goals and plans to support you, while the major advisor that you have has another set of goals. Your major as an advisor is responsible for helping students kind of successfully complete their bachelor's degree. They are experts on what's happening in their department, what the requirements are for graduation, and they also can be a great resource for accessing college success materials. Our team works with students before, during, and after their undergraduate years. We know that not everyone will be ready to apply to their professional program at the end of a bachelor's degree. We also know in the case of vet medicine, some people might be ready to start vet medicine earlier. So we're here to be your experts for the program requirements for graduate school, and then to talk about how you're going to build your resume take any standardized tests you need to do, and complete the application process successfully. That's what our area of expertise is. I wanted to throw a screenshot up there of what it looks like to schedule with us. We are, if you want to grab this, if you haven't met with us before, this is how you would find us. You're going to find us under supplemental advising in that first drop down, then pre-med and health sciences and pre-veterinarian. There is also a list of departments and advisors. So if you remembered that you worked with Michaela or Laura or Helen, you can find us using that list of departments and advisors as well. We would like to see you every semester, just like your major advisor would like to see you every semester. Okay, so meet us. I thought rather than putting pictures of me and the other pre-health advisors in here, I'd give you pictures of our pets. So Nico and Leia, those are my fur babies, and then Asiago it belongs to Michaela. And we love our fur babies, as you can tell. I don't know if you can really see that Asiago has a hat on that has a number 1. That was her first birthday. Michaela got very excited about Asiago's first birthday. So we are found in the hub in the undergraduate library. So we're on the first floor in the back on the other side of the atrium. We use a holistic approach. Oh, I love it. That looks like a sweet pup down there. We use a holistic approach. So we're not just concerned about the grades and the academics. We need to know that you are working to build your strengths across multiple domains in lots of different spaces. We do this, we have these conversations early because we know that that's what veterinary medicine programs are looking for. Okay. We are supportive. We know this is hard. Vet medicine in particular, there's not very many schools. There's only 32 of them out there. There's only one in the state of Michigan, although we're lucky to have a school in the state of Michigan. So we know you're going to need extra support to get to your goal. We also know that it's important to challenge our students to continue to grow. So even when you think things are going well, or if you're feeling that urge to sort of step back, we're going to challenge you to kind of move beyond and continue to expand your skills, become a leader, really become that well-qualified individual that vet meds want to see. And then finally, we're conservative. Veterinary medicine is just about the most expensive, one of the most expensive pathways you can do as a pre-health student. Not only that, but it's really stressful to go through the application process. So we believe that would be amazing if all of our students applied once and got in, right? Sometimes that might mean waiting an extra application cycle so that you really have all the pieces in place that you need to get admitted, okay? So that's a little bit about us and what you're going to expect working with us. Here's a little bit about what we expect from you. First thing is professionalism. Professional programs, graduate programs are using this word a lot in the current environment. And what that means is that they're looking for students who already know how to handle themselves in that sort of work environment, which includes things like being respectful of other people's time, so showing up on time or canceling if you can't make it, using office appropriate language, managing your social media posts appropriately. I've seen that come back to bite students. And they really want you to develop some of those skills before you get to grad school. Some other examples include sending your emails from your Wayne State account and, addressing those emails appropriately, not as opposed to using a text style. We want sort of a more complete message or letter style, with a greeting, with identifying information for you, with your specific request, and understanding that most people in the work world are working 9 to 5, and so you're not going to get a reply to an email on a Sunday, these kinds of things. Another thing we want you to do is continue to work on what's my why. So your answer to why you want to be a veterinarian will probably grow and change over time. And we're going to work with you on that. And we're going to challenge. That's one area where we will challenge you to kind of strengthen that answer, and grow beyond the doing something because it's on a list to really being able to express how your activities and your work build the things you're competent at. So if you want to, if you're bored one day, Google the AAMC core competencies. Now, this is a list. It was developed for MD programs when assessing their candidates, but almost every single health profession has adopted these 17 qualities when looking at candidates. Michigan State specifically references it when they're talking to us as advisors. So I think it's a great thing to look at. I like to challenge students to take a look at the list, think about where are you already strong? How did you develop those skills? As well as to identify one or two places you might want to continue to grow and come up with a plan to tackle that, right? So it can be really good for some self-assessment. The veterinary medicine community also wants their students to demonstrate a commitment to service to the underserved. For me as a pre-health advisor, when I first started, I kind of didn't get what that might mean. And then I spent some time volunteering at Michigan Humane and saw some of the programs that they have enacted to kind of keep pets with their families and to kind of maintain that animal companionship within people's lives. So sometimes it's just kind of figuring out what does that look like in this setting. So how does that translate into this world I'm interested in? And then definitely exceed, not meet the minimums, and we'll touch on that again in a little bit later. All right, so like I said, I wanted you to grab some writing materials. And this is a moment we're going to stop and touch base on this. So I'm going to put a timer on for 1 minute. And I want you just to jot down for yourself. What is your why? What is your why today, October 22nd, 2025, the reason that you want to become a veterinarian? Doesn't have to be complete thoughts, just be some bullets or whatever got you here today.
So, hi, this is Melanie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So my why is because I started trying to help rescue cats back in 2017 with
Sure.
the polar vortex and got connected with a rescue. We adopted some out to barns that couldn't be,
Mhm.
rehomed and things like that. And I have three older cats right now. Everybody's a rescue. One passed away in May, but I recently rescued a Siamese cat from my
Mhm.
mother's neighborhood. She ended up being pregnant. She's a baby herself and had six kittens. Two passed away, but I have four, and one of them has CH. So I just really for the love of it, and I'm a nurse. I've been an ICU nurse since 2007, so it just kind of looks good for me anyway,
Good.
and it's an easy transition,
Okay.
and just want to continue like my path of rescue.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, our minute is up, but just keep those thoughts kind of with you as you move through the rest of your journey. So we're going to talk a little bit about academics. This is the side that's easy to focus on, I think. I'm sorry, I said there were 32 programs. There's 35 schools now in the States. And they have a similar foundation of requirements. We will touch on a couple of things that are unique to MSU, but in general, you can expect that veterinary medicines will expect to see a transcript that has the following stuff on it. 1 semester of college math. The first class that would be considered college math would be pre-calculus. So here at Wayne State, that's Math 1800. So Math 1800 or something above that would meet that requirement for veterinary school. We also recommend statistics when it comes to reading research and understanding data analysis. That's extremely useful and is a great skill set to have going into any sort of science-based career. We want to see 2 semesters general biology with lab. The Wayne State course numbers that correspond to that would be Bio 1500 with its lab and Bio 1510 with its lab. Physiology, this is something you definitely see at MSU. 1 semester of organismal physiology. So what that means, organismal means the entire thing. So as opposed to there's a biology of the eye course. Interesting class. By itself, it would not meet the requirement at MSU for organismal physiology. But an anatomy physiology course would work. The human phys bio 3200 would work. So there's a couple different things that would meet that requirement. They expect to see a strong foundation in biology. So other courses that many students will take are things like genetics, cell bio, microbiome, histology. This is why you'll see so many pre-veterinary students, if they're not majoring in bio, minoring in bio, because it does kind of put all these up in your package for you. Chemistry, 2 semesters of what is either going to be called general or inorganic chem. At Wayne, that's Chem 1100 with its lab and Chem 1140 with its lab. We do have a prerequisite as well, which is so that that's kind of a review of your high school chemistry. And there's also some math prerequisites built into this as well. So most pre-vet students are probably going to start with your math and bio and then add in the chemistry when everything's all at the same level. And then organic chemistry. So Chem 1240 with its lab and Chem 2220 with its lab. So that's really 4, maybe 5 semesters of chem if you need the chemistry prep course. And then there's also biochemistry. Biochemistry, you have a little flexibility around. We do teach it both in biology departments and in chemistry department, different course numbers. And that's where choosing which specific biochemistry course is going to be about individual student preference, individual student program. The veterinary programs are going to be concerned about the title of the class, not the number of the class. Physics, 2 semesters of physics with lab. The life science physics is the most popular option, the 2130 with its lab and 2140 with its lab. And then they want to see 2 semesters of English on your transcript. Okay, some additional information about the academics piece. Many schools list a minimum of a 3.0 to be considered for admissions. However, the average successful candidate has a 3.5. So keeping that in mind as you take your sciences over time, I will say that a slightly lower grade point average at the beginning can be offset if that grade point average is going up over time, that the harder the classes got, you're getting to be a better student. That's what vet schools want to see. All courses on that prerequisite list have to be completed with a C or better. So a 2.0, a C minus is below the 2.0. Or if you have a community college credit that was graded on a number scale instead of on an alphabetic scale, that 2.0 is the minimum for all those specifically listed prerequisites. I always like to point out the veterinary medicine centralized application system. Forget what the second S stands for, but VMCAS, which is the application all pre-vet students will fill out when they are ready to apply. It averages all grades, all attempts. This is also where a GPA, maybe again, if you have some transfer credit from different institutions, this is where you'll get a composite GPA. I think it's important to understand that if you get to a position where you're questioning if you need to repeat a course, making sure you're talking to a pre-veterinary advisor about the impact on graduate school application, which might be different than what a Wayne State rule or department rule about repeating courses looks like. I also want to throw out there that individual schools may assess your transcript differently after it's processed. So once the information all gets to them, they may make some different decisions about if they're taking like a highest grade or a most recent grade in a repeated course. But I think you need to know that they will see everything that you've done academically. Finally, this is one of the graduate programs still remaining that does not require a bachelor's degree before you start. However, we do recommend that students create a plan to earn a degree, since it typically takes 3 or more years to prepare to apply, to get all those courses done, to build your resume. And then the application process takes a year. So if it's going to take you 4 years, beginning, middle, end, let's get that bachelor's degree along the way just in case, to kind of tie the bow on that part of your education. Now, MSU has a couple of unique things that you're not going to see at other schools. First of all, they require all the science prerequisites must be complete at the time of application. So everything on this page has to be done when you admit or when you apply to Michigan State. They also require a 3.0 minimum science GPA. So that's your bio, chemistry, and physics courses, all courses, all attempts, and a minimum 3.0 overall in the last 3 semesters. So again, they're making sure that you're still in a place of academic excellence so that you're ready for the rigors of grad school. Okay. So we have talked about a plan of work for the classes that need to be on there. And I'm going to assume everybody's getting those strong A's and B's that you need. So what else is there? The first thing is to, no matter what, get some veterinary and animal experiences. So what's the difference? The difference between a veterinary experience and an animal experience is whether or not the activity happened in the presence of a veterinarian. So let's say you work at a cat and dog clinic. You spend 50 hours assisting the vet, and you spend 100 hours feeding, grooming, cleaning cages. That would be 50 hours of veterinary experience and 100 hours animal experience. We want to see students having a resume that has both the breadth and depth. So commitment to a few things for a longer time, as well as exploring a variety of experiences. And I think it's important to consider sort of what are the different types of animals that you encounter in a given space, right? As well as different kinds of experiences. So Melanie shared with us a lot of cat experience, which is great. As a cat lover, I'm down. But thinking about, how do you then take that maybe love for one particular type of animal and expand it so that you have experience working with other animals? One thing, the reason I picked on this slide, I put the farm animals. I think in Southeast Michigan, a lot of us were not in spaces with a lot of cows or pigs, but maybe that's something you want to find an opportunity to do, is engage in a little more rural kind of animal spaces. Finally, Michigan State requires 150 or recommends, but does not require 150 hours of shadowing. Again, I think that's a great thing to see really how the veterinarian engages with the humans in veterinary medicine spaces, not just with the animals. The way that maybe a vet tech or a veterinary nurse might have a little more experience, mostly animal focused. Okay. So when it comes time to apply, it's important to know that anything you have done when you're not eating, sleeping, or studying could go into the application. All right. So the veterinary medicine common application system collects information and allows you to include experiences you're involved with starting from high school until the present. That's different from some other health professions. But if you were in maybe an H4 program or you volunteered at a humane society or an animal rescue while in high school, that could go into your veterinary medicine application. And I think you want to consider not just those core competencies I mentioned earlier, but some of the tasks you're doing. You do want to be able to share those tasks with the admissions team so they know what you were responsible for at any given time, as well as how that helped you maybe take other people's perspectives or learn to work in a team or develop your oral communication skills or whatever it might be. When it comes time to open up the MCAS and start filling it out, it's going to collect a lot of different things. It makes it easy for a candidate to apply to all of the US Vet Med programs, as well as many overseas programs, all through one application. All right. It starts with personal information. This is, your contact information, demographics, family background, brothers and sisters, languages spoken, that sort of information. The academic history section is where you're going to do all the data entry of all the courses you've ever taken. You're going to submit any official transcripts from any schools you've attended to. And then if you are applying to a program that requires the GRE, the Graduate Record Examination, or the MCAT, you will have to submit those official reports as well to VMCAS. The other supporting information, so that third bullet, is a little more qualitative, less quantitative. It's less about the classes you took and more about those experiences. You're going to write your personal statement, which is sharing your why I want to be a vet in an essay form. You are going to have people in your professional network submit recommendations or evaluations on your behalf. And you're also going to write about all of those things that you have spent time doing outside the classroom and any achievements you might have had along the way. That goes in the supporting information section. And then finally, program materials is where each individual college or school that you apply to will have an opportunity to do a couple of things. First of all, they might ask you if you have any special connection with their program. They might ask you to write one or two more short essay answer questions, trying to get to your motivation and some of your experiences. They may ask you to match your transcript coursework to their required courses so they can kind of do a quick check to see if you've completed everything they need you to complete. And it is really important to spend quality time on this because it's basically a written interview. It is the piece that's going to take you from all the hard work you've been doing into the interview setting to lead to admissions. All right, so let's look at this application timeline. This is where, if you've got friends who are pre-med or pre-dental, this piece looks very, very different for veterinary medicine. And that's because each year in January, the application portal opens to start doing some of those things I just talked about on the slide before, putting all those transcripts in, getting your letter writer to submit for you. You can do your activity entry. So you get about 4 months to start working on it. And then in May, when you start logging in, you will see that the individual programs, so those 35 US schools and the various foreign institutions, can be chosen. So this is where you're really working on making sure you know where you're applying, whether or not you meet their admissions requirements. Finally, they're also going to charge you more money, right? Every school you apply to is going to have additional fees typically. And then on September 16th, why it's September 16th, but in the middle of September is going to be your application deadline. I love it if students get their applications in over the summer. It's nice to have that kind of all dealt with before Labor Day weekend rolls around. And then you're not in any risk of missing a deadline. October and November will be pretty quiet. December, January, February is when programs are deciding who they want to interview, and those interviews take place by invitation only. Admissions offers will go out in March, and then 15th would be a deadline to accept an offer and pay any fees that are associated with that. I think what I really want you to take away from all of this is that our team is here to help throughout the process. Okay? We're here to help you work on strengthening that why. We're here to help you kind of assess how your resume development's going, work on the application, do prep for interviews. And again, like I said, we are one of the few resources you can continue to access after graduation, so we can continue to support you into the future. So my last slide, this is our opportunity to ask some questions. This is where I'd like you to either take your phone and scan the QR code, or I'm going to drop this in the chat. I'd like you to go ahead and fill out that form. Like I said, there are 2 reflection questions in there. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to go ahead and submit that. Hopefully that form is working. Yes, all right. Thank you, Aya. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes on that and then open it up for any questions that might be for the good of the group.
Hi, sorry, can I just share something real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I recently made a club that I want to let people know about. It's called Paws and Claws. And so it just started and I want to do a lot of like volunteering events or just informational, something that can
Mhm.
help us because there hasn't been any like clubs recently that I've
Yeah,
been active. So I got that started. If anyone wants to join, we could, discuss and get the pre-vet going on.
I love
Yeah,
it. I
called
love it.
Paws and Claws.
Claws and
Um,
claws.
I'll put it in
Are
the
you
chat.
guys on Get Involved?
Yeah, we just set it up on there too. Yeah, it's like very fresh, so we're still trying to get people to join so we can get some things going on. Um, yeah. Thank you.
If it's okay with you, I'd love to. Oh, wait, did you say you were going to put it in the chat? I don't see it.
Yeah, I can put it right now.
Yeah. If you want, I can I have the list of students who've attended previously and share that with them as
Yeah.
well. If
Yeah,
that's
that
good
would
for
be
you.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Great.
The Instagram too.
I'm going to stop sharing and open it up if people have questions or clarification that they want to ask.
I think I'm all good for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming and good luck with the new group. I'll be glad to publicize it.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Any other questions today?
No questions, but thank you for your time. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining.
Have a good day.
All right, you too.